Alrighty. Everybody, I know I have not made any videos lately. I am very sorry about that, but I have some really good stuff coming up here. I think it's good stuff. It's stuff I've been working on for, a few weeks now, so that way September is going to be chocked full of hockey content to keep us occupied until the season starts. One of the things that I'm really, really happy about with all the stuff that I've been doing research for lately and that I've been making lately, I had my concerns previously regarding knock it off. Good boy. I had some concerns regarding the forward group for the Canes. I still think they might try to make one more trade for some sort of top six forward. I was talking about that on X a little bit earlier, and I decided that, you know what, I can do a stream and maybe elaborate on some stuff like this a little bit further. So, just for the record, we'll talk about how many different topics that we have today. There's not a whole bunch of them, but we'll have enough to where we can talk about some things, and then that'll prime us to kind of segue into the stuff I have planned for September, and then to ultimately segue into the stuff I have planned for the season. So, first things first, I'm going to do a little bit of channel news. So, the upcoming projects on the upcoming project. Oh, hey, Coconut Kyle, what's up, buddy? Welcome back. Hope that broken nose is feeling better. That's a painful surgery, bro. That was the best decision I ever made. Getting that fixed was legitimately life altering in ways that I cannot begin to. Let me put it this way. Since that surgery, I lost 12 pounds. I have worked out nearly every day. I've skated a bunch more. I felt a whole lot better. Like, I can summarize it with a quick story about, and I'm going to make a video about how I feel like playing hockey and working out and everything like that after the septoplasty. But the best way I can summarize it, it used to take me like 30 minutes after I got off the ice to get undressed, take a shower, and, get my gear packed up and leave. The first time that I played after I had a septoplasty, let's see. I went into the locker room, retaped my sticks, had my gear on, completely changed the laces in my skates, and there was still a lap to go on the Zamboni. I was ready in about 13 to 15 minutes. When I got off the ice, usually I used to have to sit there and like breathe a whole lot and like kind of catch my breath and everything like that. I didn't have to do that this time. In like 10 minutes, gear was off, packed up because I'd unpack it a certain way too. I know I'm weird. And I took a shower and I was gone in about 15 minutes. That used to take me half an hour. I used to have to catch my breath when I would lean over to either put my skates on or take them off. And now I get my gear off in like 3 or 4 minutes, what used to take me 10, because I would have to catch my breath in between each one of them. I'm sleeping a lot better. I could not be happier with the results of that. I really couldn't. And I've been seeing like pictures of me prior to that surgery. I didn't realize how bad my nose was. And the funny thing is, my girlfriend, when she drove me home that day, the surgeon told her about how when he did the initial consultation, he said I had about 40% of my airway. He said it was actually worse than that. Essentially, didn't have one nostril and the other one was like breathing through a coffee straw. They removed a bunch of bone. That's why I'm doing my best to make sure I keep a fishbowl on, or I might have to switch to a cage because it fogs up. But I'm going to talk about that at length one day because I know several people who are thinking about getting it, and it was life altering for me. It really was. I have never felt so good in my life. I didn't realize how bad it was because I'd gotten used to it. Had it made it easier to breathe and stop getting bronchitis every winter? Yes, I'm looking forward to seeing what it does for me in winter. So I don't get sick very often, but when I do, it is bad. Like, it is like I am the most useless human being, and it takes an entire village of people to take care of me. So, took before and after pics, and yeah, it very, very stark contrast. It's hard to describe. So anyway, here with more of the stuff about so the channel news and everything. So I have been working on the 6 Dimensions of Jacob Slavin project. Part 1 of that, it'll either be 3 parts or 2 parts, I think. The part 3, I might go ahead and combine part 2 and part 3 and just make it one part, and that'll be about, I'm roughly estimating, a 14-minute video. Part 1 is going to be about 12 to 14 by the time it's done. And it's pretty much all recorded and stitched together now. Now I'm just adding in the graphics and fine-tuning the audio and throwing some narrative stuff in there. And I'm hoping that will be the best video that this channel has produced by the time that it's all said and done. So that's the only thing that I'm really waiting to get done right now. And once that is done, And once all the slides for all the deep dives I'm going to do, which I'm going to get into that in a little bit, when all those are done, I'm planning on trying to go live every other day, maybe every 3 days or so in September. The exceptions being the 10th and the 11th, I'll be at the ballpark because these guys will be in town. And the way their season has gone, those games they're actually going to have to win. Whereas last year they could have lost the last 10 games and it wouldn't have mattered, or 8 of the last 10 games or whatever it was. So that's the biggest thing in regards to that. And then I would like the input of you guys on this. One thing I've been considering doing is when I'm watching games at home, which I watch most of them at home, obviously, I was considering doing like a quick 2-minute intermission report, primarily through uploading a quick video on YouTube, a quick video on X, something like that. I want you guys to tell me what you think about me doing that, if that's something that you guys would be interested, if you'd want to watch, where I just jot some notes down really quick, and then I put that in a little quick video that you can watch really quick during an intermission, so you can get my take on things about how a game is going, the ones that I can do it for. I wouldn't be able to do that for every game. I wouldn't do it for one I'm attending. This year, I'm also planning to go to a lot more road games. Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, New Jersey are all very close. Right now, I'm leaning towards going to Pittsburgh on October 17th. And my girlfriend and I will both be going to Philadelphia in November because we want to have cheesesteaks, and I have an ulterior motive of going to a hockey game while we're at it. So, bro, I already fed you. Let's see. We got some more comments here. BTS, what's up, buddy? Yellow, how you doing, man? Good to see you. My mom got a broken fetch stick from her birthday. Oh, that's cool. That's really awesome. Live doesn't matter. Yes. That's why I want the input on it. I'm just wondering if like a live quick, because my intermission videos wouldn't be like the elaborate stuff that you see like on Bally or ESPN or what. I mean, elaborate is not the word I should use to describe ESPN anyway. Yeah, he's been calm all day and now he wants to steal the spotlight. He's 6 years old, but he has his times where he just still acts like a puppy, and he's pissed off at me because I gave him a bath earlier. But so basically, I don't know if I'd do it live or if I'd just do like a quick little 2-minute video where I just say 3 things the Hurricanes did well or whatever they need to improve on during the game and everything like that. And then the games that I'm at, I can just write a post and throw that up because I'm going to get X Premium. That is going to start probably tomorrow. I'm going to get the account for that because I don't play iRacing during hockey season. So like what I do is I cancel iRacing during hockey season because I don't have time to play it. It's a time consuming game. And then the money that I would normally use for iRacing, I put into other things like StreamYard, X, all that type of stuff. So yeah, I think I'll try to experiment around with some sort of little intermission show. And like I said, it won't be nothing elaborate or long or anything like that, but just something to say, hey, this is what I think that is going on in this game. This is the adjustments they need to make, or they're playing fine. They don't need to change anything. This player is standing out. This player is doing well. This player is doing what they normally always do. So that is any input on that particular thing is greatly, greatly appreciated because I've been thinking about doing that for a long time and I don't have much of an idea of how to go about it. So, now, the next thing, in addition to the player stat deep dives, which, like I said, I'll get into here in a little bit, I'm going to also take that really big WRAL article or whatever it was that had the link to the PDF file that had all the renderings and the proposed innovations for PNC Arena, and I actually have a lot of thoughts on that. One of my biggest ones is a lot of people were concerned with why the Hurricanes were not trying to stay competitive so much right now. I think a lot of that has to do with the building renovations. They want the team to enter a new cup window and a new era of being really competitive as the renovations are getting done, because it would suck for the team to be really good while the renovations are being constructed and then them kind of fall off a cliff after the renovations. It does suck that there will be a little bit lower of a seating capacity, but one of the things that I'm going to explore if I do get to go when the Hurricanes are in Pittsburgh, where they're proposing pulling out some of the 300 seats and putting up that corner bar up there. From what I understand, PPG Paints Arena has something very similar. So that's part of the reason that I want to go and actually see that for myself, just to kind of get an idea of maybe what it would look like for the Canes. So, because like everyone I know who's ever went to PPG Arena said it was a really cool arena. So I want to go check that one out for myself because I've only been to 3 NHL arenas, PNC, Capital One, and when they were still a thing, I went to one Atlanta Thrashers game back in 2009. So that's That's the only NHL arenas I've been in. I've been to a ton of minor league arenas. That's another thing with the channel. You guys know I really love the SPHL. I want to start doing more SPHL coverage. It's just that's a hard league to cover because there's not this ready availability of stats like there are with the NHL, where I can go on Hockey Reference and pull up people's Corsi, Fenwick's, XG, all that type of stuff. That's not a thing with the minor leagues. It's much more observationally based and everything. So I really want to up my coverage of that league because I love that league. That's my favorite one. I grew up going to those games and everything. So that's going to be something I try and figure out. And I want to encourage everybody, if you're close enough to any of those teams, particularly like if you're close to Fayetteville, you can go see the Marksmen play, formerly called the Fire Ants. That's a good time. And now's a good time for minor league sports to really up their marketing because stuff's getting expensive. So going to minor league hockey games is going to become a very advantageous thing, I think. And that's one of my big things, is to try and to try and attend more games in Fayetteville. SPHL, yes. It used to be called the Southern Professional Hockey League, and they did a similar thing to what the ECHL did, where the ECHL was the East Coast Hockey League, but it's on a lot more than the East Coast now. So instead of them just calling it the ECHL as an abbreviation for the East Coast Hockey League, they ditched the East Coast Hockey League part and they just call it the ECHL. And the SPHL did the same thing there. Rebrand was just saying SPHL. It doesn't stand for anything anymore. And I actually watched that league from its inception, and then I watched some of the last days of the now defunct Central Hockey League. I got to see those when I was a little kid too, so that was pretty cool. J-Dub, what's up, buddy? How do you think the Panthers are going to do this year? Let me know in the comments. So that was the next thing for that, and then the next thing that we have here before I get to the really big topics. All right, so I've covered. All right, so another thing that I wanted to discuss, I think that we are going to see the 25th anniversary sweater this year. I have absolutely no sources to back that up, but here's why I think it. I don't think we're going to see it used as a full-time alternate or a full-time home sweater this year. Maybe potentially in the future we could see that. The reason I think that we'll see it this year is it'll be kind of utilized like the Whalers night one, and I think that on the night that Eric Stahl's number is retired, I can see the Hurricanes using the 25th anniversary and having using the 25th anniversary sweater for just that night. Like they have one night a year where they wear the Whalers one. I think that they'll have the 25th anniversary one that night. I really do. Reason being is because when you saw the video of them telling him he was getting his number retired and everything, they sent him one, even though it was an Adidas one. And obviously they can't wear the Adidas ones on ice this year. So I could see them having a 25th anniversary sweater just for Eric's retirement, his number retirement. So I could totally see them doing that, which would make perfect sense because any of the ones we have now, he didn't wear any of those. The last one he wore was the candy cane and that slightly less ugly than that one, white one that had the black stripes on it. I didn't like either one of those. So that's what I would like to I really think that there's the potential for us to see the 25th anniversary sweater this year, just on that standpoint alone, because I don't think they're going to want Eric's number being retired. He's been basically the most significant player in our history other than Brind'Amour, and eventually Aho will be that guy. I think that they're going to want something worn that night that he actually wore when he played for the Hurricanes, and the 25th anniversary one is, one of the ones that he wore. So, or where it was inspired from, that I should say. So I'm hoping we see it again. And if they do that, I will definitely be getting another one. I'm thinking about getting another 25th anniversary one anyway. And I was thinking about putting Gossesbear's name on it with the number that he wore the first time, because I like having obscure type of sweaters that not a whole lot of people have. Let's see. J-Dub, I think we will be better. Just want Bryce to shut the doubters up. Yeah, and I got to admit, I'm not the biggest football fan. It's all hockey and baseball with me. So I don't really have anything. I'm kind of indifferent towards Bryce Young, because I don't really feel like I know enough about it to comment on it. I'm hoping he can prove the doubters wrong. Coconut Kyle says after the Bills game, I think it's looking good, but we will still be sub 500. Yeah, but I think that would be a little bit of a step in the right direction. I've got people to ask about it that know way more than I do. Obviously, you guys know way more than I do about it, because it's just I'm all hockey and baseball. And the biggest reason I won't ever start a baseball channel is I'm not keeping up with 162 games for a sport that I love about maybe half as much as I love hockey, and I love baseball a lot. So that was the smaller things for the channel. Now, J-Dub and many other people out here are really going to enjoy this particular topic. So I've been theorizing and speculating for several weeks now why the Jarvis contract is not done, because all the other things that would promote any sort of speculation that have come out publicly, none of them have really materialized into an end result. For example, we were like, okay, they're waiting on the Natchez situation to get resolved. Before that, it was the Gensel situation getting resolved. There's been a multitude of things as to why Jarvis hadn't got signed. Jarvis hadn't got signed, and a lot of people are getting kind of nervous, wondering what's taking so long and everything like that. So here is my theory about it. And this is strictly a theory. I have nothing to back it up that's, other than open source stuff that all you guys see as well. My personal belief is Jarvis is not signed yet because the Hurricanes are attempting to make a trade to acquire one more top six forward of some kind. I don't know who that is. I don't know what would be going out to get him. But I have a feeling that they're trying to acquire at least one more top six forward. And then if they do get that top six forward, just for sake of argument, we'll say Nikolai Ehlers, because that's who I want Carolina to go get. I take that back. I've got two top trade targets right now, Nikolai Ehlers and Boone Jenner. If you could get either one of them, if you get either one of those guys and manage to bring them in, then at that point you could bridge Jarvis and give him, some sort of, either way, he's going to get a significant raise, and then he'll get another significant raise later if he does a bridge deal. But I could see him doing some sort of a bridge deal or something like that. And 1 second, guys. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so I could see him doing some sort of bridge deal or something. And then at that point, they would have the necessary cap space to bring in someone like Boone Jenner, or potentially could have the necessary cap space to bring in someone like Nikolai Ehlers or Boone Jenner to kind of round out the top six, even though I do think Nadeau has the potential to take the next step. But the thing is, that's still a little bit of a risk putting a rookie in the lineup. And I would be worried about Rod burying him in the bottom six, because someone like him, he needs to be in the top six with people who can distribute the puck to him and let him take shots, because Nadeau's a sniper. That is his primary thing. Find open ice, get to open ice, have possession of the puck, get into a high danger area, and shoot the puck. So the bottom six is not really going to do that for him to the extent that the top six will. He needs clean looks more than anything else. Not necessarily, he doesn't need to score goals in the same manner that people like Jordan Martinook does, or like William Carrier will, like Steph Nason did when he was here last year. You need Bradley Nadeau to be in position to shoot the puck. So that is where I think that if he is ready, which we'll know before 2 months longer when training camp starts, because Rod seems to make determinations, pretty definitive determinations of who he thinks is ready and who he doesn't think is ready. If he's ready, I'm hoping that he'll be in the top six. If he's not, Carolina could go get someone like Boone Jenner, and then you just bridge Jarvis to keep it to keep everything cap compliant. And then at that point, a lot of the things that people are worried about with the forward group not being good enough, a lot of that would diminish at that point. Now, another thing I do want to mention in regards to the forwards, I was a little bit worried about it before, but the more and more research I've done, the more statistical deep diving I've done for the series of videos that I have coming up, the series of live streams I have coming up, I am less worried about it the more and more I look at it. Now, I saw someone post something the other day saying the Hurricanes were going to have 114 points. I personally disagree with that. I do not think it will be that many. I can definitely see them getting 102. I could see them getting 104, 114. No. I don't see them winning the division. New Jersey, I think, has a really good shot at it. But the signings they made, I think, will only help them in the short term. It will help them over the next 2, maybe 3 seasons. I don't see it being a long-term thing. J-Dub says, Rod's stubborn, but no, hopefully Nadeau forces his hand. Don't leave him with a choice to bury you on the line. Yeah. 114, I want what they're smoking. Yeah, when I saw that, I was like, yeah, there's no way. I'm not saying I don't want that to happen. I would rather sit here and say I will eat this Atlanta Braves hat right here live on this damn stream if the Hurricanes get 114 points. And that's not saying that I don't believe the team can do well. I absolutely believe it can, departures aside. And the thing that baffles me the most, people are like super worried about the defense. And I think that they did a really good job replacing Shea with two. When you can replace one player with two, it's almost always better. They basically replaced Shea with two players, and Pesci's replacement was already in town, with that being Chatfield. Coconut Kyle says, I'll be happy with another playoff berth, even if it's wild card. I'm thinking Metro 3, wild card 1, and I think that the Metro is actually going to be pretty tight this season. I don't think we'll know the playoff picture until probably like the very beginning of April. Like the last week of the season, I wouldn't be surprised if it comes down to that before we really know what the playoff picture looks like. The Canes are going to have to scrap a little bit harder this season. I really think that. But the more and more I look at this team, the less I'm worried about the forwards. If they do go out and get somebody else, all the better. But you've also got a lot of rookies that are going to be chomping at the bit to get in. Nadeau kind of fills a need, considering he's someone who his entire job in life is to put the puck in the net. And if there's one thing that has consistently killed us since Rod took over, is not putting the puck in the net, especially when we need to. There's little lapses of other things here and there, but the issues the Hurricanes had defensively, the penalty killing issues they had against the Rangers, that stuff was incredibly uncharacteristic. And I'll be straight up honest with you guys, and maybe this is some lofty optimism on my part. I don't think we'll ever see defensive deficiencies like that again with the Hurricanes. I think that was a one-off type of situation where we played against a really, really good team that had a really good power play, and they ended up having a bigger net positive in special teams than what was initially anticipated, because the penalty kill just fell off a cliff. And like 5-on-5 defensively, the Hurricanes were still pretty solid, but they weren't nearly as good as they were normally. Not to mention the Game 6 where they just totally collapsed. That was uncharacteristic. Normally, a team, the Hurricanes used to get a 3-1 lead on a team, and that was a death sentence to them. It used to be anyway. That one particular series, I just want to say that was an anomaly, and just kind of like the season prior with getting swept 4 goals, or swept by 1 goal in 4 games, ultimately losing an entire series by 4 goals, and Sergei Bobrovsky having the performance he did. Those things they're the exception, not the rule. The exception does win you Stanley Cups, but that was one of those situations where I just legitimately don't think that we're going to see any sort of defensive deficiency that bad out of the team as a whole again. I don't see that happening. J-Dub says the defense might start slow, but you're really only getting one new D-man, and Walker Ghost was already here and gets a full camp with us. Yes, Gostisbehere. So Gostisbehere was really solid when he was here the first time. He's going to be, and I'll have statistical stuff to back this up when I start doing the live streams. Actually, I'll talk about that a little bit. So the way that I'm planning on doing these stat deep dive live streams, the way that I'm planning on doing that, I am going to do the defense all in one video. The reason I'm doing the defense all in one video is because the defense is one of those things that there's not a whole lot of variables in it. We already know what the first pair is going to be, regardless of whatever criticisms there are of it. We already know that Brent Burns and Jacob Slavin are going to be the first pair. Brind'Amour really likes that pair, and he's not going to break it up. Most of the time, it works really well. Burnsy looked like he was losing a step, but, he might have been playing through some injuries or something. We don't know. When he was kind of bad at the beginning of the season, where he looked a little slow, it turned out that there was that flu or whatever it was going through the locker room and everything. And once it looked like that locker room bug cleared up, he started playing a whole lot better. And with Burns, it's not like there's drastic fall offs at certain times, but it's not like constant. It's like he falls off for a little bit, he picks it back up, falls off for a little bit, picks it back up. And not to mention, considering this could potentially be the last season of his career, don't be surprised if you see him really empty the tank and play to a level that we know that he's capable of, and consistently do that from here to the end, because he's got a hell of a resume, but the one thing he doesn't have is a Stanley Cup, and that he wants one. So I'm not ready to say that Burnsy is not going to really show us what he's completely capable of over the course of the rest of the season. So I'm not ready to really throw in the towel on that, obviously. So I think that we're going to see, it's like you've got that mentality where he's like, okay, this is it for me. I got to make it count. So, and I really, really think that he's going to do that. I wouldn't be opposed, depending on what the situation is with the defense, but I don't think we need him. I wouldn't be opposed to bringing him back on a $2 million deal per season if we needed him, because I really like Burnsy. So I wouldn't be opposed to that one bit. So let's see here what else we got for. All right. Now, in regards to Gostisbehere adjusted. This arguably, Gostisbehere adjusted to the defensive system of Rod Brind'Amour faster than Burns or Orlov did. and he would have been a really good fit long-term had he signed here the first time. Not to mention, if Gostisbehere signs here the first time, Orlov probably never comes in. But I'm glad we've got Orlov because we need someone who's got that physical presence and lays the body on people, because Orlov mitigated the Canes getting pushed around in a lot of situations. He's a big boy. He won't fight you, but he'll lay you out. He'll throw a hip into you and everything like that. And he's been a great placeholder until Nikishin gets here. So that's one of those things that can be considered as well. But I think Gostisbehere, with training camp, having time to actually adjust to things and being more than a rental that we could have potentially kept this time, he is a Hurricane for the next 3 seasons. I think that you'll see Gostisbehere really step into a Shea type of role. And he's at that perfect point in his career where he's 31 years old. He's got a ton of experience. Things kind of went downhill for him until he went to Arizona. He revitalized his career, came to Carolina, had a really good season in Detroit with the Red Wings, and now he's coming to Carolina. He's going to have a full season to adjust to everything, and I think him and Walker are going to be a good pair. And if that pair doesn't work out, you already know that him and Chatfield work pretty well if you have to shuffle it up. There is no way that you look at this defense, especially if you keep Slavin and Burns together, which I am 99.9% sure will be the case. If you keep this defense together as it is, it's going to be fine. The only variable is Sean Walker. And Sean Walker is a very low-risk variable. I think he's going to be a great fit. He's another one of those players that's what I anticipate you'll see in regards to Sean Walker. Sean Walker is going to be a lot like Brady Shea was when he first got here. He's going to lean a little bit more to the offensive side of things, and people may have some reservations about his defensive game, but I think that it will improve over time. I don't think you're going to have much of a negative or a net loss with Sean Walker on the defensive side of the puck, as some people are anticipating. I think him and Gostisbehere are going to be a very solid third pair. The best part about that pair is going to be a lot like the Shea and D'Angelo pair. They're going to be really, really good to have in offensive zone face-offs because they're going to generate a lot of shots on net. They're going to generate a lot of high danger chances. Both of them walk the blue line really well. Both of them have great vision. Both of them have really good shots. Both of them are good at pinching and doing it at the right times. So that pair right there, if it ends up being a pair, which I think it will be, that pair right there will be essential in making the most of your offensive zone face-offs. So let's see what else we got here. BG says, hey, bro, been crazy busy. Had to drop in and say what's up. Hey, bro, good to see you. I'll take care of that stuff with the hats here in the coming days, but I'll make sure I get you the right one. Thank you for everything you've done, because this channel would not be as awesome as it is without you doing everything you did with, you know, the graphics and everything for the rebrand and all that. You did an excellent job. J-Dub says, and can we get Svet some fucking anger management? I like his physical streak, but he gets way too many penalties. Yeah, he's got to rein that in. I know that part of it is the officials clearly don't like him, but that's also part of the reason why he has to rein it in. Svets is pretty bad about taking the axe to people. I'm not going to pretend for a second that he doesn't. It's something he's got to rein in. I understand he gets pissed off and people cheap shot the shit out of him all the time. And, you know, when he first came back, you know, there were a few times where people were clearly going for his knee and everything like that. Like, but he's still got to rein that in. He needs to have that physical edge. Like, that's one of the things I'm going to talk about when I do his stat deep dive. Svechnikov creates offense through physicality. He lays these really big hits below the goal line when he's in the offensive zone and forces turnovers that way. And he uses that to he uses that to force turnovers and force his way into the net. And then the other thing with Svechnikov, I think they need to try, depending on if they make any trades or how they structure the top six, Svechnikov tends to score more, I believe. I'm going to make sure that I'm right when I do the stream, and I'll have something to back this up. Svechnikov scores more when he's playing on the right wing as opposed to the left. He's a left-handed shot, and it's easier for him to work to the middle of the ice and get good, clean looks and shoot the puck and generate high danger scoring chances off of clean looks like that when he's able to cut to the middle a little bit faster and put the puck on net faster when he's on the right. And it seems like he's better at dropping the shoulder and, you know, that my mic didn't get messed up there. 1 second, guys. Yep, we're good to go. Pulling the puck in close to his body and using his frame to protect it and getting a shot off, playing his offside as opposed to playing on the left. He distributes the puck a little bit better from the left side, but Svechnikov doesn't need to be someone who's a big puck distributor. Svechnikov needs to start shooting more, and I think the biggest thing that can help him out with that is if he's playing on the right side. But back to the defense. I think that Gostisbehere is going to be a really, really big deal for this team this time around. He revitalized the power play when he was brought in as a rental back in the end of the 23 season. This is going to be one of those times where I think it's a really good pickup. I didn't even know he was on our radar to bring back. I was really happy about that. My number one favorite signing this offseason as far as UFAs with Shane Gostisbehere, because we were getting a player that we already know what we're getting with him and we know how he fits. And Sean Walker, I think, is a very low risk, high reward signing for the blue line. I think he's going to be a great long-term fit here. He could potentially be the guy that's on Slavin's right. The two guys that I see fighting to be on Slavin's right side are Walker and Morrow in the future. Right now, it's still going to be Burns. So I think that you could do something like that, and you'll have it'll work. It will work. People talk about putting Chatfield with Slavin. I don't think you should do that, and I don't think Carolina would anyway. Carolina likes to evenly distribute their defense as much as possible. It's not like a perfect 33% split between all of them, but it's basically safety valve, shutdown type of guy, offensive defenseman. That's your pair. So that's why I don't really think they're going to put Slavin and Chatfield together. The only time I see Slavin and Chatfield together is if it's a end of the world penalty kill situation, like hey, we're up 1-0 and they're on the power play and we're playing against the Maple Leafs, the Avalanche, the Oilers, or someone like that, and there's 32 seconds left. Put Slavin and Chatfield out there and let them do what they do best. As far as 5-on-5, or as far as normal penalty killing situations and 5-on-5, though, I don't think those two are ever going to play together, because you're putting a lot of your really good defensive eggs in one basket at that point. So I think that that's how they keep this really lethal top pair, where both of them would be first pairs on literally any other team, but you keep this top four where you have Slavin and, say, Sean Walker, or Slavin and Scott Morrow, and then your second pair is Chatfield and Nikishin. Don't forget, not much longer and we finally get to see him. So, and the defense is looking really good long-term. I have zero worries about that. I think the defense that we're heading into this season will be on par and eventually exceed the defense that we had last season. And I think that going into the future, it will be pretty difficult to have a defense better than the one Carolina has, especially as Morrow and Nikishin break in. And then even if one day the Hurricanes move on from Chatfield, which I don't see happening, I think he will sign here again when his current deal is up. There's a multitude of right-handed defensemen in the system that could potentially come up, and not to mention there's 3 drafts between now and then, but I don't think Chatfield's ever going to leave Carolina. I really don't. Speaking of the Colorado Avalanche, our favorite Avalanche and Canes fan, Catherine Bartlett, welcome back, says, put Svech with Aho and Natchez. Natchez also works better on his offside. Yes, Natchez is really, really good at working to the interior of the ice when he's on his offside. And one of the things I've noticed about that, he doesn't turn the puck over as bad as he does on entry when he does it if he's going from the right and everything like that, because, it's like he gets across the blue line. He's got a defenseman between him and the net. And if he's on the left side of the rink when he cuts, he can pull the puck, since he's a right-handed shot, he can pull the puck this way and, use his body to protect it, use his frame to protect it, and then he button hooks and does all that crazy stuff he can do while he's skating. And I think that he would benefit from doing something like that. I really do. And on his offside, it's easier for him to make entries, cut to the middle of the ice and shoot. It's easier for him to protect the puck that way. And it's also easy. And it doesn't matter what side Natchez is on. If he decides he wants to circle the wagons and take it behind the net and go entirely around the entire zone, it doesn't matter what side he's on. He can totally do that on either side of the ice. But I do believe that trying him out more often on his offside would work. I'm still a proponent of trying Natchez at center. I'm defensively minded myself, but you need at least one line where it's just they roll up for an offensive zone faceoff and the other team looks at them and they're terrified. I was so excited about them when they tried out Kuznetsov, Gensel, and Natchez. I was so happy about that. I was like, finally, we have a line like this that is scary in the offensive zone. That's not to say that we don't have other players that are scary in the offensive zone, but me personally, I would be terrified if I looked up and I saw that forward group and any combination of Hurricanes defense behind them, because whether it would be Shea, D'Angelo, Burns, whomever, I would be really, really scared if I had those 3 forwards and then one of those guys that's really lethal from the point with that. So I'm still a proponent of Natchez being tried at center. I really am. I'm just saying, give him 10 games. I know it's not going to happen, but I'm still on board with that, because imagine this, if that does work out, your center depth at that point becomes Aho, Natchez, Kokiniemi, who I think would settle into that role really, really well, and then Jordo for the 4th line, and then you could have Drury on the wing, or you could trade him, whatever you want to do. I'm personally, I'm kind of indifferent to the idea of trading Jack Drury. I was really on board with it last year, but he's shown that he's a really great player, so hold on to him if you can and everything like that. So let's see what else we got here. J-Dub also says, but I say this, Aho, Svets, Jarby, Natchez, and KK just do a touch better, and you got the D looking good. I fear Rod screws the pooch and starts Freddie again. Yeah, see, that's the one thing that, like, I didn't really do a statistical deep dive on the goalies for the stuff I've got coming up because, honestly, I'm not really well-versed in goalies. I'm not gonna pretend that I am. Hold on, guys. My dog's being a little weird. What's up, buddy? Is it storming out? No. You ain't got no reason to be upset, pal. All right, go. Move. Get out of there. Thank you. All right. So in the long term, like I'm not sure what they're going to do with the goaltending. I really don't. I'm a proponent of Kochekov needs to be the starter, the 1A, however you want to put it. He needs to start more games. He needs to start more critical games. He needs to start more games on the road because if nothing else, we need to know what we have with Kochekov sooner rather than later because we're due to make a pretty big investment in him here in a couple of years if we're going to keep him. So it's time to start really thinking about that when it comes to Kochekov. So I would say, yeah, put Kochekov like in the starter role. And if it doesn't work out, then you can figure out other alternatives from there as far as putting Freddie back in the net, trading for another goalie, something. But now is the time to find out what you have with Kochekov. It cannot wait any longer. Catherine also said, yes, put Walker with Slavin, keep Orlov and Chatty together, and then Ghost and Burns. That could work out pretty well, too. Either way, I was more so referring to, I think that next year Sean Walker is going to be moved up to be with Slavin. If it's not Sean Walker, it'll be Scott Morrow. It's going to be some combination like that, I think. I really do. A lot of people are talking about Nikishin playing his offside, and I know that he's capable of it, but I still don't think that they're going to do it. And not to mention, you want to have – Carolina likes that even distribution. Keeping Nikishin on a separate pair from Slavin gives them that even – offensive, defensive, and transition split between all their defensemen. So that's what I think that they should do in regards to that. So, all right, guys. Apparently my dog needs to be walked, and I'm kind of annoyed because I took you out earlier and you didn't do anything. Go lay down. Go lay down. Okay, that works too. Just if you're going to sit there, just be quiet and relax. All right. So let's see what other topics that I have here because like this wasn't going to be a really long stream tonight. But yeah, so essentially actually, I don't really have much else to go off of here. Will you stop for a minute? My dog is crazy. Okay. So essentially, basically, here's all I really have left in regards to talking about the stat deep dives I've got coming up. The defense will be all at once. And the Alrighty. Okay, but yeah, there wasn't a whole lot left to talk about in regards to this stream anyway, so I just wanted to like give you guys an update on what I had planned coming up. There won't be a whole lot more over the course of the next couple of weeks unless there's any like news or anything like that, but starting in September, there will be a lot more stuff. So thank you guys for joining me, albeit not the longest stream, but come September, I'm going to try to have something going every other day, roughly every other day, up until the season starts. Thank you guys for everything, and I will see you next time.